Hey everyone, this is the Custoda, Aaron, and we're our prior video we went through and had a main page view and a main page view model. We kind of got everything set up and got a default message set up. In this video, we want to actually go through and start setting up our core um, master detail setup. And in the intro video, I kind of explain what master detail is. That's basically having a part of the screen that has got a master part and a part of the screen that's got detail. The best example I can give is the Mail program in iOS or Outlook. For both Android and iOS is a really good example on tablet of a really great master detail experience. The master has got the list of messages, and obviously when you click on the master, it goes to the detail, which is the actual message content itself. And we want that. Our default apps, a lot of times we want to start getting tablet and iPad support on there, and also Android tablets. They're getting very popular in our line business applications. We don't want to spend a lot of points in sprints adding on tablet support after the fact. And navigation can get really complicated with master detail. So thinking about this for new projects, definitely adding it in and part of sprint 0 if you're doing agile is critical, and that's my recommendation. So we're going to basically go through and blow up this entire application now and build it from the ground up. So we're going to comment out of this line of code, and we'll come back and fix this later. We need to start building ourselves our master detail. And so to start out with, we're just going to delete both these files, which I know you're going to go, wait, what? I'm going to delete all this stuff? I don't need them. I don't like taking the default stuff in, so I'm going to actually delete this. And I'm also going to delete this guy right here. And get rid of those altogether. And so technically speaking, we just have a blank slate, and we'll create some new stuff. So we'll start with creating a base view model. And you're saying, what? I'm saying a base view model. And a base view model is going to be the view model that all my view models are going to inherit from. And the reason why is I'm kind of lazy about it. I want to get navigation in one class so that I have the stub method set up for it. And that's just going to save me some time from coding, and it also sets me up a good system in place to make sure everything's right. Now, there is a bug in the Prism templates. In the Prism templates, when we create view models and views, it adds an extra definition from namespace, and I kind of explained this in the prior video. So if you make the classes via C#, just like a standard class, you'll notice that you don't get the extra namespace view. And I'll show that when I make the next one, but this is basically going to turn into an issue where it is a bug. I will talk to Brian in Slack on it, and we'll get that figured out. So in our base view model, we want to be able to do a couple different things. We want to be able to handle navigation for all of our view models. At least set up some stub stuff that maybe 50% of our view models can use. And so to do that, we need to make an interface that we handle navigation aware. And this is part of Prism and Prism's navigation framework. And so we're going to say we'd like to implement that. Now, in order to do that, we're going to need to talk to a navigation service. So let's go ahead and implement that method. So I'm going to go to quick fix, and it's going to say, hey, implement the interface, and we're going to do that. And now what we do need, though, is in order to implement a base method for navigation, we want a navigation service object. And so the navigation service is what you use outside of the app in order to talk to navigation. And this gets injected in for free as part of the Prism setup. And so it's going to build one of these and automatically create it. Normally services you would have to register for each platform, but this one you do not have to. Now there's a rule to it, and that is that you cannot name it something different. So it must always be called navigation service. And in the constructor, there's a special rule that basically will only inject in if it equals this. And I learned that from a video that Brian did on the Xamarin show. So that's really important that you make sure that syntax is always this. And that's one more reason to just use this base model so we don't have to do this 1,000 times per se. And we'll still have to pass this in from our children so it gets set up. But we now have a protected read-only navigation service that is protected so that our children can use it also. And we're going to kind of just throw these out, and we're going to make these virtual so that our children can override these as needed. And we're going to actually add one in. We got navigated from, we have navigated to, and there's another one navigating to. And I'm pretty sure in the new version of Prism, that's the case. And we'll upgrade Prism in the next video to explain. This is a new option that he added in the 6.3, and it's not in the current 6.2, which is why it didn't come part of that interface, the navigation thing here. But there's issues where we will want to eventually upgrade to 6.3. So we'll do that in the next video. For right now, just take my word that we're going to want this, and there's stuff that will break, and that's the reason why we're doing that. So we look like we're doing pretty good here, but we want to have a default navigation ability for our view models to just work. So we want to have a method implementation for that. And that's going to be this method right here, private async void navigate with a string. And what we're going to do is we're going to pass into our view model where we'd like to navigate to, and the navigation service will pass it a message that says, hey, you know, asynchronously go to wherever this navigation space is. And so that's why we needed this. We're almost done here. Now, anybody that's done MVVM knows before ahead of time that this is a private method. How does our view talk to this view model to call that method? We can't do it in this private. That's not the recommended approach. So we need a command to do that. If you've done MVVM cross, you would know that it has something called the MVX command or IMVX command. If you've done WPF, that's usually the I command. We're going to use something called the delegate command. And the delegate command we're going to call is a navigate command, and we're going to take a type of string in because that's what we need to feed this method here. And so the delegate command does support generics, and so we're going to take a string, and that string we're going to take as part of this command is just going to be a location that we want to go to, and we then will tell the command to basically call this private method. And so because of that, we'll need to definitely set that up in our constructor. And so let's go ahead and just add a new line of code in our constructor that tells it to do exactly that. So we're basically going to wire up our delegate command. We're going to say make a new delegate command of type string because that's what we need to pass into this to get the navigation service working. So explain the navigation service again to me, Aaron, a little bit. So that's this method over in the app XAML CS file. And remember right here on initialize that we had to tell it navigation service navigate to the very first page. Well, that's what we're setting up for our base view model is so that, you know, we can send the navigation service pages to go to. So we can do navigation inside of our view models. It's really cool. It means that we're basically taking all that business logic encapsulation and moving it up to the view model, and making it so that our pages should just be view code, right? That's our goal, is to separate, have that line in the sand. So we've got this base view model that we can now take advantage of, and that's pretty cool. We're going to put them over here onto the second window here, and we'll just keep app open here for right now so that we can start creating some view models. And so the very first view model I think we're going to want to create is we need a master page that we can actually call up. So we have a master detail that we're talking about, and if you think about it, we're going to have a master part of it, and then we're going to have a detail part of it. And then we'll have to have something that manages, that says, oh, okay, we have both of these things on tablet. And we'll probably need some a navigation controller to control the popping and pushing off the navigation stack. Let's start with the navigation view. It's the easiest thing to do, or the master page view. It's the easiest thing to get ourselves back up and running. So let's go ahead and just make from Prism content page a type of master page view. And this could be our view that would be on the left. Like in our mail example, this would be the thing that has a list of mail messages that are available to view. Let's go ahead and do new on that. We'll notice that our master page view, it came over here in our XAML. We'll move it over here so that we can have our view models on one side and that on the other. We'll add our namespaces in real quick here. So we need to go ahead and fix the notorious bug that basically adds view in twice. I really wish that text wrapping worked in Xamarin Studio because this is painful. This is why the original project I did for this was inside of Visual Studio, because Visual Studio has line wrapping and it makes this just so much easier. So we can see here, oh, I put it in the wrong thing. I put it in the view models instead of view folder. Boo on me. Also, I might have accidentally deleted the view folder. So let's go ahead and recreate that. My bad. When I removed the view, I probably just removed the folder with it. So let's go views. Oh no. that means that Xamarin Studio knows in the back end of the file system that that thing exists and it's going to be mad. So I'm going to have to delete it first. So I'm going into my code directory because I accidentally deleted the views folder. You can see here it has it still and on disk. And so I can't get back in Xamarin Studio. You have to manually delete it and then go ahead and re-add it. So let me go ahead and add new folder now, and that will work. Views, there we go. And now we should be able to just take this view model and move it, or this view, move it over here. And we'll save. And we should now have it over here. And let's get that class open also. And let's just change this to be views. And up here, let's also change this to be views. Take that view model definition out because I screwed up. And you'll have to forgive me for that screw up here. Inside of here, let's add a couple more small things and that we need just to have a hello world kind of thing. So let's do a title. And the reason why is because some content types will blow up if they don't have a title set. So we're just going to solve that problem from ever happening by doing this, and then we'll override it if we need to. And we'll make a stack layout. And background color, we'll make this red. So we know that's the master. And we'll just use colors to start out with. It may need a label, so let's just do a label. For the heck of it, it's a master page view. We're not going to do any view model properties just yet because we're just trying to make sure that navigation works to start out with. And then we'll add some properties and then start doing some mappings with it. So that'll be our master. We're pretty good there. Pretty confident that hopefully that will work. Yep, that seems to be outlining ourselves there. Let's add our view model in for that. So let's go new file. We need a, remember earlier I did Prism view model and that broke. Let's just do a general one and I'll show you that the namespacing definitely is not breaking on that. So let's just call this a master page view model. And you will notice that the namespace works right here. We got only one view models. So it definitely tells me that's Brian's stuff that's breaking it. His Prism Template package, which it's cool. I mean, it's still a lot of value there. We're okay with that. We just need to know that we need to clean that up until he gets that fixed. So we want to inherit from our base view model because we're trying to get a bunch of that stuff that we just set up for navigation for free, or as close to free as we can get. Now we do need to send a navigation service to it. So we're going to have to take this in as our arguments and pass it on. So let's go ahead and just do that because we're base and navigation service. And I'll explain what I'm doing here in a second. So we're basically just saying, I'm going to inherit from base model. I'm taking in a navigation service from IOC, from Unity, and then I'm going to send that to my parents so that it gets set up. And we'll just make sure that we have our using statement in there by doing a quick fix. And that puts our namespace in, and that fixes that. Now for the master page view model, do we need to set anything else up in the master page view model for right now? That's actually a pretty good question. So let's think about this for a second. Our master page view model will, for right now, basically doesn't have a lot to do. It's just going to be something that just draws, you know, of eventually a list. But for right now, I'm pretty sure we can get away with right now just having just this there. And we'll figure out like if we need to do something later in it. So what I'm saying is that I don't think we need any boilercode in here other than what we currently have. And I think that this will get our master page view set up and running. And to the point where if we were to compile this and just set the navigation to this, by theory, this should just work. So if we were just to say master page view here as our default path, it won't work because we didn't set up the view model to view mappings for registration here. So now this is where we have to go in and fix this. So let's go main page. Instead of that, this is master page view. And this would be master page view model. And that should be there. Now this, technically speaking, should just work. We've got our very first master page view model set up. And of course, we had that other one we could have probably renamed and used, but I like to start clean. Let's get our simulator up and take a look at this and see what's going on here. And we got a red view. That looks pretty good. Yeah, there's nothing too fancy about here. It looks like we have the navigation up here, and we didn't add some padding into that, so we could probably fix that real quick. Let's just go into here and tell it what is it, margin 0, 20, 0, 0. I want to say that's what we want to do here. And the reason why is because the status bar takes 20 pixels and the navigation bar takes 44 if I remember right in iOS. And so, and it's more based on if you're on tablet or not. These are things that you just, if you do mobile long enough, you know that you have to put at least 20 pixels of padding in so you don't overwrite the carrier bar up here. See the carrier bar? So I just put that 20 pixels of padding in, and now the master page view message is not coming up over the carrier bar. You do this long enough, you just start to memorize that kind of stuff. So we've got one view up and running. That looks pretty awesome, but we want that split view when we go ahead and do tablets. And so let's continue on our game here and see if we can get the detail view set up. Of course, that won't work until we set up something that routes all that together, but we can get started on it. Let's add in a new file, and we're going to call this one a we'll go back to forums, or excuse me, Prism, set up a content page. We know that we're using Prism stuff. We'll have to fix the namespacing issues, but we're okay with that. So we need a detail page view. And the detail page view will be the view that's going to show up on the right of our tablet concept here. And so let's go ahead and just get that guy set up here. We're okay with it here from content page. We do want to take out the extra namespace here. We also want to go into the XAML here and fix our namespacing issues and get this set up so that we can talk to it. So let's find our namespace definition there. And our auto wire for our view model, and then our class that we're actually using here. And this will be our class definition. I like to just get these all done now so that I can see them for later. Like I said before, we're going to add a title in. That is just something I've gotten used to from prior versions. I'm not sure if this is even still an issue anymore, but I just know it. If I put it in, it never causes problems, and in the past it has caused problems when it was missing. So developer 101, you then remember that and make sure you do it all the time until told otherwise. So we're going to do the same thing here. We're going to have a stack layout. We're going to have a margin. Put that at the end of the line here. Margin equals 0, 20, 0, 0. And let's do ahead and put a label in here also and set the text equal to detail page view. So we know that that's our detail page view. And like I said, we'll set up some view model mappings after we get everything running here. And we know that our navigation is working, all that stuff. And if I could type right tonight, that would be good there. So we've got that set up. We need to set up our view model for that. And so let's just go ahead and go here, Prism View Model. We're going to call it Detail Page View Model. And that will be where our business logic lives. Now we're going to do the same thing we did over here. I heard from the base view model. Let's go ahead and just bring that over here. Let's bring our master page view model over here so we can just steal some cut and paste options here. We like the signature here, so we can just copy it over here. See why I was saying that having two code windows, how much easier that makes it? And quite honestly, we don't have to use a using statement now because we can just do that. I copied over from the using statement over here, pasted over here. Done. I mean, it's really easy. So having your code set up, code windows like this, if you're trying to do things fast, you can do some pretty cool things. So every time we add in a view and view model, we need to get into the nature that we go into here and register it. Let's not forget to do that because that will cause all kinds of chaos happen. So this is a detail page, and this is a detail page view model. Oh, we did not fix the namespace, and that was a good thing that we did that because that told us that we didn't fix it, and that's because we're using Brian's template. I don't remember. I don't want to beat Brian up because he's super awesome. Yeah, that's just, it happens. I write code for a living. Been doing it for over 22 years now, and I make mistakes all the time. And Xamarin Studio, way that it does namespacing is different than Visual Studio, and that's kind of dumb. I'm really hoping that once they do the Mac version of Visual Studio that they get some of this stuff straightened out because it is very confusing. If you don't know these things, you have to kind of just figure them out, which isn't cool. So we've got a master, we've got a detail. So if you've done Xamarin Forms for a while, you know that you eventually need a navigation page that handles the navigation stack. That's what creates the navigation bar. That's what handles popping and pushing. And that also controls the backstack in Android. So we need one of those things to handle navigation. Whether we're doing it on phone or tablet, we're going to need that. And that's called a Prism navigation page. And so we're just going to call this the base navigation page, because this is going to be our base navigation page that we use for all of our navigation, whether we're on phone or tablet. We'll use it differently in each one for the sense of how we call the navigation stack, but the theory is that we just need one page to call to do that kind of stuff with. And, usually out of the box, Brian's template for navigation, at least, is pretty good. If you think about it for a second, we really shouldn't have to do anything other than fix our... well, there's one thing that we do want to do now I think about it. But let's clean up our namespaces to start out with. We know that that's an issue. We know that every time we make a page, it's going to make the extra namespacing issue. And so if you're lucky enough that maybe this video is in the future and this is no longer a bug in Xamarin Studio or in Brian's stuff, kudos to you. I suppose I could have also turned off the namespacing options and then had it auto-generate for me, but that would have been for every class then that I create, it would be broken. And that's for every project and solution, and that doesn't work for me because I do a lot of code. And I like this option. I like it working like it does in Visual Studio so that if I open in either platform, I don't have to worry about it. It works the same way. So I'm okay with fixing it here and instead putting a bug report in with Brian than I am with turning it off. Now, navigation page, we went through it and fixed that. These should map through now. However, Prism navigation works a little bit different than the base navigation that comes with Xamarin Forms. And so we want, because we're going to do some Prism navigation, we want to tell it whether or not we want to clear the navigation stack every single time something gets put on here new. And so there's an interface that Brian's created for that, and it's called iNavigate Page Options. And let's go ahead and put our using statement in and kind of use that. And we can implement it pretty quickly. It's a single public property, which just says, do we want to clear the navigation stack or not? So I'm just going to copy paste that code in from documentation. And we're going to say, yep, when a new navigation gets popped on here, let's go ahead and clear the navigation stack if we call new navigation. If we just add a single page on, we're not going to worry about it. But if we call the full navigation, let's clear it. And that's really critical in Android, that's set up in a way that works properly. We're almost there. I know this video is getting long, so let's try to hurry up and finish this up and get you to the point where you can see this working. And then we'll move on to the next video, which we do some even more cooler things with events, and we start to wire up messages and get all the binding stuff working. So we've got our navigation page over here. Now, do I need a view model for this? Well, in this particular example, no. We're not going to do anything special in the view model. However, we should always create one just in case. It's going to be blank for us. We're just going to bring in a navigation service for right now. But since we are trying to get into a habit of doing things the same way, I'm going to create one anyways. And so that way I don't forget like my workflow of how to do this. So I'm going to do here. Creatures of natures, if you come with consistency of how your stuff is set up, then you're less likely to make bugs. And that is a proven fact in software development. So let's go ahead and just do that. It didn't take us all that much to get a view model wired up. Now, what's the other thing we have to remember? Every single time we make a page, we register it for navigation inside of our app CS. So we're going to go here, say navigation page, or base, and did we not fix the namespace in here also? It's there, base. So do this instead. Go next. Oh, I called it page instead of page view. Oh, let's fix that too. Consistency, what I just said, is critical. And so let's go ahead and call this page view. This is going to take off all kinds of stuff, but we can fix it because we're good coders. And so let's go ahead and change it here. And that should fix all of our problems. So that's how you would rename something if it was named wrong. Let's see here. I've got views here. here, base page view here. That should be the old. Oh, there's this secret XML navigation. Go to no, I need to go to the code behind that does this. Yeah, where? Oh, no, that's not the fixed sort either. Let's just redo the class. There's a secret file that does all the definitions for the stuff that I'm not seeing. That I forgot I'd have to also fix because I broke it. So the view model's fine. Let's move it over here. We'll just because we didn't do all that much in the SAML file. Let's just delete it and recreate it. Or I will. You probably did it right the first time, so you don't have to do anything here, but I do. So let's just go here, add new file again. This time we'll remember that we're calling it navigation. Oh. Navigation view page view. So we stick to our coding standards of this. And let's go ahead and do that there. That's good. Oop. So this, I'm in our app navigation base navigation page model. Base page navigation view. Now I just need to fix the namespacing in this, and this should hopefully go away. And here's our over here. We've got views on one side and view models on the other side. It's like cats and dogs living together. All right, so this should now fix that, and then we just need to fix it in XAML. And so here's our XAML. And because we don't have line wrapping. Come on, Xamarin. Let me go. Get us text wrapping. Man, this is painful. We don't want to live like barbarians. Save. And so let's also make a title for this. Like I said, got into the use to everything gets a title. Title. Oh, did we close content page already? No, we didn't. Title equals base navigation page view. Okay, so that should get us there. We're not going to do a navigation stack or anything in here, or excuse me, a stack layout or anything in here, because this is just its job is to do one thing only, push and pop stuff off the navigation and to make the navigation bar appear. So we don't necessarily need to go in and do all that kind of stuff. So the one thing I did say that we're going to do though is as I start closing some of this stuff is on the base navigation page here, we need to inherit from the page options. So let's go ahead and do that here. Base navigation. The other thing we should be inheriting from is a Prism navigation page. So let's go ahead and fix that. And let's add a quick fixin for that. And we should be able to implement that single option. So we should, and that was that public property. I've got it in the documentation here. So on another screen, let me just get the other documentation from Prism, put that in, and that should get our interface implemented. We'll bring that over to another line so we can read it. And oh, I have that duplicated, don't I? Let's stop duplicating that. Take that comment out because I typed it in twice. All right, so there we go. We've got navigation now set up. We should have our definition for the three master detail and base navigator, and we should have that here also. We do have a base view model. We don't have a base view. That's okay. We've got our three definitions here. So it says that it can't find base navigation view model. Base navigation page. Oh no, we did this wrong name here. It should be view model. I did that wrong. Rename. Naming standards. So painful. All right, that should fix that. So let's go ahead and do that there, and then go back to our app CS and make sure that it's happy now. Hey, look at that, it's happy. Red line's still there. Why are you still there, red line? That's right. Um, it thinks it is a Xamarin Forms navigation page and not a Prism navigation page. Why would that be? Here, views, base navigation page view. We do have Prism set up there. That seems like it's right. Let's go into our code behind. Oh, yeah, let's take a look here because that's why. Because content page here, it's a navigation page. That's why. Duh. Because I renamed it. I had accidentally selected the wrong type from a template, and so our base class here, when we change the base class here, we would have to change the base class in the XML to match the XAML. So once again, if you're not using Xamarin Forms, the partial class here maps to the XAML file. And I originally had this as a content page because I had selected the wrong one. I got lazy and just said, well, I'll just fix it in code. You have to understand that this right here, whatever your base class is, will be what the XAML says for the opening tag. And whatever you change it to, you have to change it there. That should get rid of the red crazy line of chaos, and it just did. Woo! All right, we're almost there. Folks, we have one more thing to set up, and we are going to compile this puppy and hopefully rock and roll. So let's set up our master detail page view and master detail page view model. And that's going to be our basis of the thing that basically separates out our master page and detail page when we are using tablet. So let's go ahead and say master detail page view model. So type Prism view model. We'll kill the view model extra definition here because we know that's an issue. We'll steal our navigation service here. Kind of bring it here. And do our quick fix here to do navigation service, and then our base call should also work because we're going to use our base view model. So I'm copying and pasting from our view model over here to here so that it makes it faster and quicker. Technically speaking, we don't need any of this other stuff right now. So let's just kill anything that's in gray. And we got a nice clean base view model. I've been doing this quite a while with that. With the these two, like have the ability to have code side by side just to kind of set up things. And man, let me tell you that it's pretty awesome. I can't express how the how cool I think that is that you can do that. So highly recommend take a look at your workflow of how you have your stuff set up for that. So let's I don't think we need all this stuff open, so let's start saving some stuff and close it, and then we'll do our last page and set up our navigation, and we should be good to go. We'll do a demo real quick to make sure that everything works. So this is going to be critical that we set this up right, so let's pay attention. I know it's getting late. Right here, Prism Master Detail Page. That is very specifically what we have to set this time. So we're going to say Master Detail Page View. And this is going to be our manager that manages the master and page for tablet specifically. So we know that we have a problem where the views is done twice. We got to get that. Been through that rodeo multiple times here. We'll go into here, set up some stuff, and then we'll set up our routing, do a compile. We should be good to go. So in our assembly here, we'll see that this is where we have our assembly, our definition of our class. So where we have everything set up wrong. So we have the extra view by accident. What we'd also like to do is set up a title just to make sure we don't crash. Title equals master detail page view. Sounds great. All right, so content for the master page detail page view. This is where it gets a little bit interesting. This is the layout setup. And if you've done a phone application before and you've done a hamburger menu, you've probably used this for the hamburger menu. However, what we want to be able to do is set up a local XML mapping definition that says the master details master page is going to be this one that we created right here, just called master page view. And then we'll use the navigation instead of appcs to actually set up our detail view navigation stack. And so the very first thing we need to do is XMLS namespace. We need to do a namespace mapping. So we have one right here that we're just going to borrow some of the typing because I'm lazy. And we're going to call this local. You can call it whatever you want. And man, I'm not good at this syntax, so I'm just going to steal the syntax up here so that I don't have to retype all this over again. All right. But we're going to map it to the this right here. And so we're going to say our namespace is this / views, because that's what we want to be able to get access to. And our assembly is going to be this. So if you've never done this before, what we're doing is we're trying to map a DLL file so that we can use any of the things that a DLL file would create in our XAML. And so our namespace is basically saying our namespace, the view that we're looking for is inside of this views folder. So that's we know that's going to be the name of our project .views. And we know that it's in the assembly or the DLL that gets compiled, and its name of that is the project name, which is that. So that's what we set up this mapping for. And now what we should be able to do is we should be able to use the local, go away. We should be able to use the option called local, this local tag that we just created. And when we ever use local, we should be able to call up any view that we want, which is pretty sweet. So master detail page, that's right, but we don't want icon, we want the master side of it. And so what we want to say is that we want to put in that new page that we created. So we're going to say local. And you can see here's our views. Isn't that cool? I find this a very, you could do this in code behind, which I used to do, but I have a lot of people that pick, why are we, why is this being a turd? I did it twice. Yeah, I don't know why I made that twice, that XML. Let's just clean that XML up. Sorry about that. And so this is because I do like my stuff all tabbed over perfectly and stuff. So what we're saying is that in the master detail page master view, we're always going to show a master page view. Okay? And that's by default, whether, I don't care where you come from, you're going to be that. However, we'll set up the routing for the other side. So let's take a look here at our master detail page view. It's mad for some reason. Initialize components. Why are you mad? Oh, did we not get the namespace right here? Let's take a look here. Class. Did we accidentally script the names? Did I accidentally take out too much from here? Master detail page view, views, X class. That's right. Detail page view. The local XML definition. Oh, it needs to be first, or it needs to be probably last, like this, in order for it not to be upset. No, why is this mad? What's it say? Oh, it's just Xamarin Studio being dumb. So there was nothing wrong with it. I think it was the order of the XML. This happens all the time. The IntelliSense is not all that great. Sometimes a clean and then another build will make the ghost squiggly line go away. Should not be like that, but sometimes it is. All right, so we have set up everything except for our routing for this. And so this is the tricky part that I will start in this video, but then we'll go into great detail in the next video about. For right now, we're just going to get up and running to show off that it works on both platforms. And then I will explain how we could do cooler things with it in the next video. So to start out with, we're going to have to change the way that the app CS works here. Right now, we just have the navigation service that goes to master page view. And that does not work for us anymore. So we're actually going to take that completely out. And you're like, what? Yep. And so we want to make some rules about how the app's going to work based on if you're on tablet or iPhone, because we only can show master detail view on tablet the way that we want to, and we're going to want a different navigation stack if we don't. And this goes back down to how the iOS Mail app works. And the iPad version, we have master detail open up as the master gets opened up by default as a slider drawer. So I showed in the very first video. But on phone, you just get a list in your master view and then you drill into the details. And that's the behavior we want. In order to get that behavior, this is where we're going to do all of our business logic. So we need the device class as part of Xamarin Forms. And this is really super awesome. It gives you both your devices and your platforms. So there's something called the idiom class. And we can just say if the device idiom target idiom is currently either a desktop or device.idiom equals target idiom tablet, then we're going to set up routing a certain way. Else, we're going to assume that this is phone. I'll put a little comment in here for this. Assume it's phone and navigate clean. And so how we do that is we're going to await the navigation service dot we're overriding this, but we don't have an async in front of it, so it's not going to give me proper syntax until I fix that. So if I put an async in front of it, now navigation service should come up, and I should be able to see it. Yeah. All right, so we're going to navigate to async, and what we want to navigate to is just a string, and this is where we're going to say, because we know that on the phone, we're going to call the master up first, and then from the master page, we're going to be able to drill into the detail page, right? So that means that the very first thing that needs to come up, though, is the base navigation page view. That's going to create the navigation bar and stack for us, and then from there, we want to navigate to our master page on phone only. So we're going to say that this is base navigation page view slash, because this is the URL syntax, master page view. And this the caps and uppercase and lowercase does count. Now, some people would make constants for these, and that probably totally makes sense, but so you don't type these in wrong. We're just doing this real quick, try to get it done over with. This is more of a training video than anything else. And 100% correct, I would have this completely set up differently if I was doing this as a production app. I'm going to borrow this because I don't feel like typing anymore. It's getting late tonight. Now for tablet. So we're going to assume that we're on a tablet. We need to completely navigate differently. We wrote the master page detail view here. We want that to come up first because that's going to create our split of the master and detail. And so that's what we're going to call it first. So we're going to say master detail page view. And it's got a definition, if you remember, right? It knows that on the master side, it's going to call it the master page, but it has nothing on detail side. So let's tell it what to bring up on the detail side. So we're going to tell it to go to the base navigation page view, because we want to make a navigation bar, and then we want it to go to detail page view. And that should do it. So let's kind of review what we did here. So on phone, what we're saying is that we want a navigation controller, or I'm speaking in iOS terms because I did iOS for many years. And we're going to basically make a navigation bar, and inside of that navigation controller, or backstack controller, however you want to call it, depending on what platform we're talking about here, we're to add a master page view to that on phone. And then what would happen is on master page view, there'd be something that clicks to go to detail. And that hopefully makes sense to you. And so detail would get thrown onto the navigation stack. If you were to hit the back button, if you're on a detail screen on phone, you would go to master page view because we have that clearly set up here as the current navigation stack. However, on this side, we're actually saying master detail page view is the actual main root controller. We're going to put on the detail side of it because master detail page view already has a definition for the master. We're going to say on the detail side, we're going to take and put the base navigation page view. So we have a navigation bar, and then we're going to call detail page view up. Now we're on phone, so we're only going to be able to test this rule, and then we'll switch to simulator and test the other. And we should, I already noticed something's missing here. We only have 3 definitions for navigation, and we need more than that. So we added 2 more, and we forgot to add them in, and that would cause a crash right away, and I'm glad I caught that ahead of time. So what did we add in? We added master detail page view, and we added master detail. So let's count what we have here. We have a master detail page view. We got it. We got a master page view. We got it. We got a detail page view. We got it. And we have a base page view. Navigation should now work to any one of these 4 guys. And over here, we've got our 2 strings. Let's go ahead and compile and see what happens. And we got a build error. And why do we have a build error? What's it say to do here? Oh, I must have accidentally took the override off when I did async. Oh, I did. I'm a ninja here. That's my bad. Because I want to put the async in. There we go. Now this should just basically say, hey, you shouldn't return void on an async. We know that, but this is technically speaking an event, kind of. There's better ways we can do this. I mean, this is some of the syntax issues with the async framework. Totally get it. Let's see what's going on here and see if we can't get this. Hey, look at that. We got master page view to show up here. And that's exactly what we were looking for. And we got a little extra padding because if you remember, right, we added 20 pixels for the status bar, but we don't need that padding anymore because navigation controller is doing that padding for us, this navigation bar. So that looks pretty good. Actually, let's go ahead and leave that there for right now. We would probably want the padding to be based on device type because when we move it over to tablet, by theory, that will become an issue again because there will be no navigation bar on the tablet side. So let's try that though. I'm going to switch it over to iPad Pro 9.7 inch here. So it's going to reboot and boot up into the tablet simulator here. We'll scale that back down a little bit so that we can see it all on one screen. It does take a few seconds for the simulator to go through and run. So that's kind of coming up here. So as you can see here, we have now a skeleton set up for everything though. So what did we need? When we needed a navigation controller, basically, or a navigation page in order to handle all the navigation when we're adding and popping, pushing views. And we also needed a master detail page view for the tablet version to make the split view work. We need a master and detail page because those are our 2 key parts of this actual paradigm. So if we take a look here, our tablet came up. Maybe I can set the scale to 50% so it's easier to read. Ooh, well, that's close enough. We're in high def, so this should work. If I click master, there's my master. Ah-ha-ha. And here's my detail page. I should put some padding on here or center that so we don't lose the label. If I slide over the mouse here, that's the slide over the finger gesture, and that works. Let's flip it. Rotate left. This should come up by default and stay by default. This is perfect. This is exactly how it works. And remember, I put that 20 pixels of padding in here, so now you can see here, my master page view isn't covering up the carrier bar. And over here, we're still getting everything. And if we were to go back, flip back, so it's flip back right, we go back to the hiding and showing stuff. And this is pretty slick. Folks, we have master detail set up. Now, of course, we can't drill into the detail if we go back to phone because we haven't set any of the binding stuff up. This video is getting really long already, so I think what we're going to do is we're going to call it a day here. We've got a pretty awesome setup here. We've got both tablet working and phone working. We need to then, on the next video, work with our navigation. We're going to kind of tweak that a little bit more, add some new features to it. We're going to add the ability to put some buttons in so we can click between the master and detail and make sure that that works on phone. So that there's ability to see the detail page on the phone and get the tablet stuff working. And I think we'll add a couple of views and we'll make sure that we can send a message for the master over to the detail with some detailed information about what it should draw. But we'll also make sure that the details can send detailed information to another detail page. That's what we'll do next time. And I think we can wrap it up. And then this is going to become a shell for some more training videos I'm going to do on just general cool things with Prism and Xamarin Forms. So I'm really kind of excited about this. Appreciate all your time. Apologize that this one got a little bit long and got away from us a little bit, but I think that it was worth it, and I look forward to you guys watching another video very shortly here, hopefully. So take care. See you on the flip side.